Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Isaiah Smith, soon to hopefully be Isaiah Dunne. I'm a junior. My major is screenwriting. I have a minor in history and soon digital film and productions. Well, I grew up in upstate New York. It is from a town called Franklin. It's a small farming community, a lot of dairy farmers. My dad, Preston, he was a dairy farmer. It was all right. I didn't live with my father because of some issues he had during his life. He had a lot of mental health issues and a drug problem. I did get to see him. I lived with a man by the name of Dunne, who, as you can tell, he adopted me. Love him very much. He's a good man. Uh, well, my mother died when I was 7 years old, as I said, and that was a very hard loss because cancer. One of the more painful aspects of it is that it takes its time. But as I got older, I immersed myself into media and things that I really personally enjoyed over the years. My uncle, I can still remember when me and him watched the first Avengers movie on his tablet in my grandmother's basement, I think a couple of years before he died. My grandmother, she was a very kind woman. She was strict, but very kind. Nurse her whole life, so she was very clean. My dad, Preston, he's my biological father, always encouraged me to read and to debate and things like that. In fact, I'm sure several of my books, influenced me. The works of Ayn Rand, for example. I don't agree with all of her philosophy because I just don't think laissez-faire capitalism can work. But her views helped shape me and understand who I was and where my place was in the world. I'm big into humanity. I love the individuality of everyone, and that's something that I've become acutely aware of, again, through my readings, of just how beautiful every individual and every individual person can be and just what we can do. So it's not coping, but just one way I've learned to look at my experiences in life, that even though I've had, many issues over the years, I can still enjoy who I am, because even though that loss has happened to me, it isn't who I am. As you can see, I have my Magic, my Warhammer books, American Psycho, don't read that one. Harlan Ellison, fantastic writer. H.P. Lovecraft, he's terribly racist, I don't really recommend it. Of course, my Ayn Rand books, I have 2 copies because this was my old beater copy, and it was a gift. Then more Clive Barker, he's a fantastic writer. Goosebumps because I'm a man-child. My personal philosophy is that every individual is a beautiful human being. And a lot of it came from the simple image of Atlas holding up the world. And, I'm sure we're all aware of the famous statue. I forgot where it is in New York City, but it's to me, it represents really what each individual is that anybody can carry the weight of the world on their shoulder if they believe in themselves and they love themselves and they know who they are and they surround themselves with good people. I think I would change what happened between me and my father when he died. It depends on how you look at it, of course. There's 2 stories I like to tell and how he died. In one of them, unfortunately, the truth of it all is me and him got into a fight. It wasn't physical. It was, he wasn't taking his medications, and he was a diabetic, and unfortunately self-destructive. And because me and him got into a very nasty fight about different views on things and what he should do with his life, unfortunately, he stopped taking his insulin and went into a diabetic coma and experienced brain death, so we had to pull the plug. But I choose to tell the story of how the catfish killed him. This is a fun story where essentially he used to be a fisherman in his early 20s, and he would go catfishing, and one bit him on the foot, and when it did, it gave him an infection which caused his autoimmune system to essentially go into overdrive, and he got really sick. and he believes that that catfish gave him diabetes. So I like to think that in a better world, maybe he wasn't so mentally ill, what would have killed him was the catfish. So if you ask me, what I would change in my life, it would be either get rid of that, either not have that fight with him or kill that damn catfish. I think I would tell everyone to embrace themselves and to truly love themselves and to want to do the right thing. I know that's like a cheesy thing to say, but everybody knows when they do something good or bad. It's inherent. We all have a heart in these things, and I think people need to really embrace themselves and actually be fulfilling themselves and help others. It's cheesy, but it's really all we can do to make a better world, is to love one another.